Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 11th Webster Board of Education business meeting. Would everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, I'm admitting the first speaker.
Okay, and
it'll take a second for him to get in. Oh, there she is.
Okay, upon reviewing the agenda, do we have any alterations? I think we're okay. Then can we move a motion to move out of executive session, please?
So moved.
Sue, second by Suf. All in favor? Okay. So we recognize that there are members of the community wishing to address the board. The Board of Education conducts the business of the district, and while meetings are held in public, they are not public meetings and are governed by certain rules. Boards use the public comment period as an opportunity to listen concerns, but not to debate or enter into a debate. We do, however, welcome hearing from community members and appreciate their participation. We're also available by phone or email to engage in conversation offline. Visitor speaking time is 3 minutes long, and community members wishing to speak can request a time from Board Clerk Cindy Cushman, and they will receive a Zoom link. Cindy will introduce this evening's speakers in a moment. We would like to reiterate the district's position on reopening schools. As your Board of Education, it is important that we continue to stress that we support a full return to school when it is deemed safe by the governmental agencies whose guidelines we must adhere to, specifically the New York State Department of Health. The criteria and agencies that are responsible for issuing guidance have not changed. We still need to abide by 6-foot social distancing, wearing masks, and ensuring staff has access to any federally approved vaccine. The reason schools are safe is because we have enforced these guidelines. We now have data from those who participated in the survey, and plans will be developed that reflect the desire of our community. And we'll hear more about that in a little bit from Carmen in his superintendent's report. So now, Cindy, can I turn it back over to you?
Thanks, Tammy. Our first speaker is Erica Marquardt.
Welcome, Erica.
Mute.
Hi.
There you
Welcome.
go.
Okay, so my name is Erica Marquardt. I have 2 children in Webster schools. I have a kindergartner and a 2nd grader. I have been a stay-at-home mom since my oldest was born. And although we have managed to make it work, the plan all along was for me to go back to work when my son entered kindergarten. Obviously, that plan has gone out the window. There's not many people that hire you for 2 hours a day. But I have taken on a new full-time position, and that is a teacher. I just don't get paid. I feel like our children are being robbed of the education that they deserve. I feel robbed as a mother. I spend less time enjoying my children and more time arguing with them about work. And I'd be lying if I said that all days were bad, because they're not. But we struggle, and that's the truth. I do consider my children pretty lucky that I'm home with them every day and that I'm there to help them when they need help with something. But not every family is that fortunate. And I know a lot of working moms that they don't have any family time because it's all schoolwork. I feel like if the expectations of the children actually mirrored the amount of time that they spent in the classroom setting, it might not be as difficult. But I didn't learn Common Core math, so I cannot teach my child Common Core math. She's not going to learn Common Core math from me. So if they can't teach it in school, it's not coming from home. My kindergartner, he has a tutor, and it's just so he doesn't fall behind. The last thing I want is for 1st and 2nd grade, for them to enter 1st and 2nd grade next year and them to be so unprepared. I know a lot of children that will be. I will not let my children be unprepared. So I feel like I am doing everything in my power. My husband and I are doing everything in our power to make sure that our children don't fall behind. But I feel like the school district and the school system is putting in 0 effort towards that. My friend's daughter, she's also a 2nd grader. She cries. She says school's boring. School shouldn't be boring. You're supposed to like school in 2nd grade. She says she only leaves her seat to wash her hands and to get water. And don't even get me started on her teacher. She has a substitute teacher that she has had since October. Unacceptable. Zero communication from the school about the teacher she was assigned to at the beginning of the year. The parent has no idea where the teacher is. I feel really limited, obviously. I only have 3 minutes, so I can't share everything that I'm feeling. But the fact is that our children deserve more. They need more. An hour and 45 minutes in the classroom with time that you still take out each week for gym. It's unacceptable. As you can tell, I'm unhappy with the decision making of the district. I wonder if there is a parent that's happy with the decisions that have been made. I have plenty of friends in the district and none of us are pleased. If things
15 seconds, Erica, 15 seconds.
If things don't change, I wouldn't be surprised if more parents want to homeschool or leave the district altogether, because it would be easier than the headache that I've had to endure this past year. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Okay, Betsy Murray is joining.
Thanks, Paul. Welcome.
Hi, Betsy. You're on mute. There you go.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, first of all. So I have 2 children, one in private school and one at Webster. Remote Wednesdays from the beginning have overall been minimal. The meets often get canceled or they meet for 5 minutes and then ends for more independent work. It's not a full 25-minute face-to-face lesson. An option for keeping student cohorts the same this quarter would be to return students on alternating Wednesdays in person. Fairport and Penfield are both beginning to do so this month. Although my family and I would absolutely love 4 to 5 full days in person soon, I wonder, is an in-person Wednesday something that Webster plans to do? If so, when would that be? And if not, why is that? And lastly, I truly hope that future meetings for the board will be in person. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. And I think we have,
One more. Dave is, I just admitted Dave.
thank you, Paul.
Dave, whenever you're ready. You're on mute, it looks like.
How's that working for me?
Better.
Better,
It's
thank
good.
you. My name's Dave
Welcome.
Callis. I'm a father of 3 young men in Webster. One's a graduate of Thomas High School. I have a senior in high school and an 8th grader at Willink. And I'd like to start by recognizing all the parents who are courageous enough to present this evening. I know that public speaking can be nerve-wracking and the fear of public ridicule and judgment can be paralyzing. But I want you to know that I see you and recognize your efforts tonight. I appreciate your voice and I have your back. I want to be very clear about my message tonight. There is virtually 0 risk for opening schools full-time. And this administration should be doing more to make that happen. Debating the science can take days, but the loudest voice in this fight should be the parents and physicians. And if the American Academy of Pediatrics says schools can open, then we need to open schools full-time. The evidence is clear. Children are not dying from COVID. They are not spreading COVID. They are not incubators for COVID. The 6-foot rule is based on an 80-year-old guideline, and surely as a man of science, Carm, you would agree that we can do better than that. We shut down our economies, our schools, our lives in an emergency situation 1 year ago, and that emergency no longer exists. Again, we need to open schools full time. An analysis of U.S. health insurance data from March and April of 2020 showed mental health claims increased amongst teens 97% in March and 104% in April compared to the same months in 2019. Children ages 5 to 11 are seeking mental health care at emergency departments and are up in 2020. Suicides for children ages 12 to 17 have skyrocketed in 2020. The risk of continuing this charade is more trauma. Think about what I just said. What our kids are experiencing is not an education, it's trauma. And every child who struggles and does not recover will be your legacy. Make no mistake, we aren't here to just be heard. This is a call to action. We need a different way of looking at the problem and creative solutions to open our schools full-time right now. Moms and dads have carried a huge burden with schools being closed, and we're tired. We need our freedoms and our rights returned to us. We need the right to choose where and how our kids are educated. We deserve the right to choose. We pay our taxes so our kids can be educated properly in the classroom. Your actions in this moment will define your legacy as a board member and as the superintendent of our district. Again, your actions in this moment will define your legacy. The mental health crisis our kids will suffer will be a more traumatic catastrophe than the alleged pandemic that we're facing right now. Experts are saying that lockdowns and more specifically school closings will go down as the worst public health policy in our nation's history. So I ask you, which side of history?
15 seconds, Dave.
Forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate your time. Okay, moving on. I know everybody received a link for the liaison reports. We had Lauren from Webster Thomas, Brooke from Webster Schrader, and Joan Bardanis from WTA.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren. I'm a freshman here at Webster Thomas High School, and this will be my first time presenting here today. Lots has been happening in our building these past few weeks, and I'm excited to announce that our district's PTSA is getting started on their Adopt a Senior program. There's still some missing information, so please do look out for that, but in the meantime, there is a Google form if you'd like to adopt a senior. Over break, our PTSA took time to decorate our school's front hallway to show that our seniors' future is bright. Thanks to Teacher Stahl, Mr. Stahl, for designing the banner. The Hewell Bright Youth Leadership Organization, or HOBE, founded in 1958, has its mission to inspire and develop a global community of youth and volunteers to a life dedicated to leadership service and innovation. This year's HOBE students are Elizabeth Borcher, Nora Mahoney, and Hannah Reeve. Were chosen as Webster Thomas HOBE delegates. Congratulations. College visits are coming up for sophomores and juniors this March. Throughout the month of February, colleges include in this virtual event are Niagara, D'Youville, New York Film Academy, Clarkson, and many more. Seniors will also have the opportunity to sign up for the senior awards. These awards are offered through local organizations, and community members pick up the application, and it's due by March 26th. The fall and winter drama this year is called Radio Hour, written by some of the most talented artists here in the school's drama department you will see. The posters are all over the school. There is a QR code where you can find and listen to it as well. Check it out today. From our athletic department, our wrestling team won against Canandaigua 47-15. Indoor track season sectionals started March 4th. Competitive cheerleading has also started March 1st. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you enjoy your weekend.
Hi, this is Brooke, and I'm one of the liaisons for Webster Schrader. I'm here to report some of our news. Our Masterminds team is currently in second place in our league and is slowly gaining on the first place team. We have 2 more Mastermind meets, and if we win those, we could potentially overtake the first place team. Either way, it is likely that we will go to the championships. We have an all-star team. Student Council has some news as well. The Webster Schrader Student Council has applied to be recognized as a 2021 Student Council of Excellence from the National Student Council Organization. These awards distinguish outstanding student councils by guiding student leaders and their faculty advisors through a process featuring 22 standard-based criteria and demonstration-based outcomes, reflecting more than 80 years of expertise in student council and leadership programming. We will be notified in April of this year if we were selected to be recognized. Our annual One Warrior Week is coming up. This will be our 6th One Warrior Week, and it will be held on from March 22nd to the 26th. Our speech and debate team has been very successful. They had another win recently. Our team took first place again and scored 74 of 75 possible points. Congratulations to the following high scorers. Liba A, first place in Novice Lincoln Douglas debate. Lauren B, first place in Varsity Oral Interpretation. Ad H in first in Varsity Extemporation. Felix H and Jason L in first in Varsity Public Forum Debate. Sophia V, first in Original Oratory. Emma C, second in Declamation. Luke P, second in Varsity Lincoln Douglas Debate. Andrew G and Kenny R, third in Varsity Public Forum Debate. The national qualifier is this next coming Saturday. Good luck, team. And our library has wonderful news as well. Our librarian, Ms. Jen Struggy, is pleased to report that after a year of preparation, Schrader Library has finished genrefying. Our fiction collection is now grouped by genre in an effort to improve the student browsing experience and make it more equitable. The change is research supported, and we anticipate increased book circulation as a result. It also better aligns us with the genrefied Spry Library. Spry librarian Wendy Sardella was an invaluable consult, and teaching assistants Rox Daly, Tammy Murtha, and substitute TA Katie Baum were instrumental in the research, labeling, and physical work that went into the process. Over the next couple of weeks, students and staff will receive video and in-person instruction for a seamless transition into the new organizational system. That's all I have. Have a wonderful day.
Hello to our Board of Education. It is great to see you and happy spring. It again is my pleasure, and it always is, that I get to report out on the WTA and the wonderful things that are going on in this district by our members. Our remote teachers have our gratitude, our deepest gratitude, as they work with our students. They are constantly reaching out, connecting, and teaching daily, fighting obstacles that we don't need to do when we're in the buildings. The WTA thanks them. Our WT members at our 11 elementary schools are involved in a variety of mental health and academic-focused activities. The mental health team at Clem North has been busy. They have a strong sense of collaboration and resiliency, and by supporting each other, they support the building and students. They are finding new ways to engage and entertain while they are building trust in each other and creating that team member, that team resiliency that is great modeling for students. Our March Book Madness is alive and well in Webster. It looks a little bit different, but the unique ways that our WTA members are coming up with to reach out to kids to make sure that books remain essential and reading remains a great priority. Jamie Palmer has been busy taping and tapping into her creative side while she videotapes some very cool, catchy introductions. Kids are singing and dancing, and then they wait and they listen intently as she reads and the story unfolds. Schlegel's fabulous librarian, they appreciate. Their interests and needs of all students take priority as high-interest books are hitting the shelves, and they continue to hit the shelves. And they instill, yes, a love for reading for all students, all levels, all abilities. Andrea has a bracket full of diverse read alouds, which instill that love for reading as well across the district. Battle of the Books looks different also, but is out and present. Jen Guberle is working with our youngest of students. And yes, she is helping them not only with reading, but public speaking skills. Kids are picking books, practicing, and reading aloud to their students. The Clem South Elementary School of Equity team leveraged the joint efforts of the WTA members and students. They showcased athletes, authors, poets, activists as they celebrated Black History Month. The students' illustrations as well as student announcements filled the showcase with collective efforts of all of the Clem South Penguins. Fun to be fit. Mr. Graff and Mrs. Carlson, State Road and other elementary schools are hitting the move. WTA members promote moving for at least 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week. Activity logs fill the building, fill the hallways, as kids take pride as they walk. They walk the talk, and they walk their dogs, and they walk with parents, especially in this time of COVID. Our WTA member, Bill Ambler, has taken the polar plunge to the creek, Irondequoit Creek. And with the assistance of other WTA members, he has raised over $2,000 for the Special Olympics. Collaboration between other WTA members include behavioral specialists, special education teachers, speech and language pathologists, OTs and PTs, and they put their heads together to design activities and modifications so that all students are exploring and all activities can be out there for our kids. Our middle school, they have a focus that lies in some continued team effort as well. Cheryl Lynn, Amy Lynn, and Matt brought back the getting to know you, getting staff out of classrooms, keeping socially distanced, and an incredibly important activity that helped practice what we preach to our children: move, explore, and learn. WTA member Tim Mason continues to coordinate efforts for student recognition and our care awards. Praise is genuine and all feel a difference. WTA members at Willink created and executed beautifully with our readers, writers, and thinkers an opportunity to deepen their learning. Remote and in-class students actively participated in getting to know foreshadowing, setting, and plot. And the deeper the learning, the better the impact in our future. High school counselors continue to reach across the district and conduct college and career seminars. They also continue to create the seminars and activities designed at each grade level. They are meeting with each and every student through both high schools. Our WTA members continue to reach out and work with our long-term subs, some who have been hired the weeks or days before school even started. Thank you to Adam Spexer, Marissa DeBois, sorry about the names, Todd Stahl, and Gina Lazarus for making many things in the art department continue to work. Across the district, school social workers work together. Our WTA members are celebrating this year's theme, a beacon of hope. Before I leave, notable WTA member Janine Norse has been selected as a CAMI Hero Ambassador. She is one of less than 100 people from a worldwide pool of candidates. Congratulations, Janine, and thank you for also organizing great resources to use during Black History Month and Women's History Month. Our WTA Women's Committee continues to meet at the district, local, and state level, thanks to Jen Heafy and other WTA members who are committed. Looking forward to sharing more. More of the unending dedication to our remote members are demonstrating. More on our fabulous Women's Committee and a sneak preview to members who have found a way to incorporate furry friends. I look forward to next month's meeting. It's an honor to be the WTA liaison. Wishing you all health, happiness, kindness, and peace.
Okay, moving on to new business. We have a.
Will you let me share my screen, Paul?
Oh. Do you want to share the agenda?
You should be able to. You should be able to share. There you go.
Here we go.
Okay?
Mhm.
Thank you, Cindy. We have a resolution to establish the hours at the annual district meeting, which will be the Budget and Board of Education election. Brian, did you want to speak to this?
I think I'm off mute now.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is probably the most normal thing we've done as far as the budget vote in a year. Because I think at this time last year, we were talking about not knowing what's going on. So we are back to normal. Looking at May 18th for our annual district meeting, the vote, same time, 6 to 9 p.m. in person, Webster Schrader High School. And the resolution is to establish those hours and the place of the meeting.
Okay.
Tell you, it's a huge weight off of all of our shoulders of compared to what we had to do last year. It was a heavy lift to pull off. So very excited. The county's already notified us that we'd have the voting scanning machines. So we're good to go.
As well as absentee ballots. So the same options that people had, they'll continue to have.
Correct.
But they need to request the ballots, correct?
Yes. They have to complete an application.
Which we have online?
It will be once we can put it up there.
Great, thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely. Any other points that anyone would like to add? Okay, then can we have a motion, please, to accept the resolution?
I'll make that motion. It's Linda.
I think that was Linda.
Yep.
Second? Please, I see Suf. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
I'm sorry. I have one more question.
Please.
Will the absentee ballot request, does there have to be a valid reason, or is it a no excuse?
There has to be a valid reason. Right now, we're not sure if COVID is one of those reasons.
Okay, but you'll keep us informed.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, and we are also acting on the legal notice of the public meeting for the annual district meeting and budget vote.
Yep, so this is what we'll publish 4 times with all the pertinent information, when, where, how to's, and also the proposition for the buses gets republished as well.
Any questions or discussion around the legal notice? Seeing none, can we have a motion, please, to accept the legal notice for the budget vote?
So moved.
I
Second.
think that was Saf. Second. Maria, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next on our agenda is a resolution to nominate Tom Nisbecka for membership on the Monroe No. 1 BOCES Board for a term of office to begin in 2021. We have all received Tom's resume, years of community service, accomplishments, and qualifications. Since 1998, Tom has served as a member of the Webster Board of Education, the New York State School Board Association, as past president and current treasurer, a member of Monroe 1 BOCES, a member of Monroe County School Board Association, American Public Education Foundation Advisory Board, and the 4 County School Board Associations Executive Director. So we are grateful for the decades of service that Mr. Nisbecka has shared with our district. So Cindy, let me see, we can actually read the exact wording, right, that was in, okay. Resolved that Tom Nisbecka, residing in the Webster Central School District, is hereby nominated as a candidate for membership on the Monroe No. 1 BOCES Board for a term of office to begin in 2021. May we have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Sue, and second by Maria. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Many thanks to Mr. Nisbecka. That brings us into old business and a second reading of policy 5550 regarding animals in school for instructional purposes.
Yes,
Sue
this was
Casey.
This was as part of our regular review, of our 3-year review for this policy. And at our first reading, which we did on January 21st, we recommended the elimination of this paragraph. It was a little too in-depth, and our attorney said that it was not needed. So we would like to eliminate that paragraph from this policy. And this is our second reading. So it will become in effect as long as we all vote to do so today.
Thank you, Sue. Any questions regarding this policy change? Okay, can we have a motion, please, then to accept the second reading of policy 5550? See Maria in a second.
Second.
Seth, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you to the policy committee. Appreciate your work. Okay, this brings us into board reports, our school liaison reports, more Zoom meetings that everyone is participating in, and we certainly appreciate the efforts to keep in touch with all of our school communities. Whoever would like to go, you're welcome to jump in.
Okay.
Seth likes to go first.
Yes. Well, at Clem North, they celebrated 100 days of school, and their kindergarten students and their staff dressed up, and everybody enjoyed the celebration. This month, they're also collecting items to help fill the Phillips Village communal stand, and they're also participating in the March Book Madness. Now, the March Book Madness is an online bracket style tournament that matches books in a one-on-one type of games. And it's decided by a simple vote on a Google form. And students can vote individually, or you can even vote if you want as a family. And the voting is going to go through the Sweet 16, and then the Elite 8, and then the Final 4, and then eventually a champion will be decided. At Willink, Brian Powers, who was the principal there, talked about how the staff and the students are incorporating habits of successful learners. Now, the board heard a little bit about this at one of their workshops. The WTA at Willink is also looking for suggestions for the teacher appreciation ideas, as well as for student engagement. And they're looking for ideas that will use to celebrate the 8th grade, moving on to Thomas. Families that are interested in ordering a Willink yearbook, they may go to the Willink page and click on the yearbook, and they can place an order for the yearbook there. And families are also reminded of the resource Common Sense Media, which is available to help navigate the social media situation. And there's several Willink PTSA positions that need to be filled next year. And you can email centralptsa@websterptsa.org if you're interested. And that's my report.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh,
Thanks, Sue.
Go ahead.
For Schlegel Road School, they're in the midst of their parent-teacher conferences. They have a couple things coming up. Bingo for Books, which is another reading program like Mike was talking about. And the purpose is to instill a love for reading. They have a Square One Art activity coming up, and that's to encourage creativity. The PTSA meeting for March is on Tuesday, which is March 16th. It's next Tuesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. and that will be a Zoom meeting. And that's my report.
Thank you. Maria, want to jump in?
Sure. This is from Thomas. Families of #class of 2021 students, please check the weekly principal's newsletter for the link to register your student in this year's community Adopt a Senior program, which is open to all Webster Central School District seniors. And they too, at Thomas, have several Thomas positions, as well as Central PTSA positions that need to be filled for the 21-22 school year. And again, if you're interested, please email centralptsa@websterptsa.org. And from DeWitt celebration of Diversity and Black History Month included, but was not limited to, every classroom receiving and reading the book, The Colors of Us by Karen Katz. All classrooms also received a pack of multicultural crayons to use as they explored The Colors of Us. As part of DeWitt Road staff plans to continue working on diversity throughout the year and looking at how to incorporate different activities throughout the year and not just in the month of February. Faculty read the book, so you want to talk about race and continue to discuss it. Last month, students focused their inner coach to help get and stay in the green zone. This month's spotlight focus is on taking deep breaths to get to the green zone. March 26th is DeWitt's PTSA Spirit Day. The theme is Mismatch Day. Staff and students are invited to wear an outfit that doesn't match, different patterns, bright opposite colors, different socks, different shoes, etc. And DeWitt also has positions that need to be filled, specifically secretary and co-chair. And if you're interested, you can contact one of the co-chairs, Kristen Swallow, or the Central PTSA website. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go.
Hey, Mike.
Plank Road North just had their meeting yesterday. They are excited about the library upgrade. I think they are third on the list, so they're already setting up a staging area as well as foyer modification to improve the foyer entrance and security. So they're getting ready for that. This year, they're getting to do kindergarten screening. I'm assuming the other schools are doing that, and they have 3 dates picked in early May to do the assessment of readiness for kindergarten. And then they are planning for a June 11th, 5th grade graduation ceremony. Right now, they're looking for some guidance about whether any parents will be able to attend those events, and probably too early to tell depending on where we are with everything, but they're looking forward to that. Literacy, they do Read Across America, and the kids and the staff dress up in fun outfits. And as Principal Craig said, any day he doesn't have to wear a tie is a good day. So they do it together. And then equity and diversity discussions are continuing through the morning show and in class. For fun stuff, this may be something you can pass on to your PTSA. They're doing a carnation giveaway by the students to teacher and staff after spring break, $1 for a carnation. And I think those are through Kittleburgers. So the kids will be able to present a carnation. And then for Mother's Day, they're getting $1.50 plants from Welch's for moms, grandmoms, aunts, or any other woman figure in their life. And then my favorite, they missed the donut event last year. So they figured out how to do it this year. They're getting coupons from Shoots, which will entitle the bearer to get a free donut when they go to Shoots. And the slogan is, best part, "Don't worry, be happy." That is my presentation.
I love it.
Thanks, Mike.
I can go next.
Okay.
I'll start with Clem South. They had a really great turnout with their Valentines for nursing home residents. I guess it was very much appreciated and it was a nice surprise. They have a virtual bingo night in this month. And instead of egg hunts, they decided to paint rocks and possibly pass those around the community. They're going to do some March for Green Foods celebration this month either, and also share some recipes. And again, always including both the remote and hybrid families. And also parent-teacher conferences for Clem South. And then I have State Road, who's also doing parent-teacher conferences. They're looking for memberships for next year also. All of their leadership positions are pretty much up, and a lot of families are moving on. So they're definitely looking for some added participation next year. They're working on the yearbook and hopefully some outdoor celebrations coming up as things begin to open up and they can start celebrating and doing some things that they haven't been able to do, as well as plan for teacher appreciation.
Thank you. Linda and Plank South.
Yep, I'm up. Plank South meeting was held last night. They are also doing a Square One art project, and that is due tomorrow. The fundraiser is for the art department, and in the past, the money has been used to bring in a traveling artist for the students, or they've purchased items that the art room is in need of. So that ends tomorrow. The 42nd Science Fair is being held virtually this year. The projects will all be shared on April 5th, and all of the project information is due tomorrow as well. The 5th graders are having a fundraiser at Panera on March 31st. That fundraiser is to help defray some of the costs for the yearbook and their moving up day celebrations, which they hope to have in June. There's a Spirit Week scheduled for March 22nd to the 26th. The 5th graders were the ones who generated the ideas for the week. Some of the favorites were sports teams, Be the Meme, and Twin and Triplet Day. And they're also doing Health Moves Minds this month. And if you go into Hagedorn's, you can round up your total, and the change will be donated to the American Heart Association of Rochester. It seems that all PTSAs are looking for positions and are struggling this year. I think a lot of it is because there's been no in-person events, so it's hard to do that networking. But hopefully that people will be identified and come up. Spry's meeting is next week. I really don't have anything new to report on since our last meeting for that. And Schrader's meeting has not been put on the calendar yet for March, so I will keep an eye out for it and let you know. But I just wanted to take a moment to thank the PTSA over there. I happened to be in the building. I had to stop in and help Stacy with something a couple weeks ago, and the PTSA has been working all year on redoing some of the bulletin boards and the display cases, and it'll be fun if we can go in and look at them. They're absolutely gorgeous and the creativity is amazing. So I give my thanks to them for that. And that ends my report.
Thank you. And you're right, this is a theme. It exists for Central PTSA as well. Leadership is kind of maxing out on their terms, and they're all looking for supports that we do hope that parents step forward. The PTSAs, all of them have gone above and beyond to be creative and engaging and have just come up with some magnificent ideas. So we're very grateful for all of their efforts. Okay, and Carm, do you want to jump in here with the superintendent's report? Thanks.
So first of all, thanks to the nearly 4,000. Is Miss Land on here? She's somewhere. Miss Land, is it 4,000 parents?
I think we're a little over 4. Yeah.
Okay. So a little over 4,000 surveys have been filled out the second time around, and this one is through the parent portal. Excuse me. It's open until tomorrow, I think, and we'll be able to sort of scour their comments and to take a look at their thoughts and their insights. Right now we have in general, when I look at the high school parents, it's sort of like, it's not quite 50-50. There's a few more parents who would like to come back to full-time school. Middle school, a little bit more than that, maybe 57-58%. Elementary school, low 60s, that would love to come back to full-time school. So overall, I think the ratio will be probably around 60-40. So 60% saying if there's a chance to get back to full-time school, let's go for it. And it's interesting because the student survey is the opposite. Student surveys 65-35, just stay the same and wait until September. Faculty, staff, similar to that. It's 61-39, I think. And so all of these things it's great to get all these comments and all these voices. We know that no matter what we end up doing from end of April through June, we know that a substantial segment of our population, of our community, are not going to get their first choice. So we know that going in. It was the same thing that happened in August when we were talking about hybrid versus full-time versus total remote. But it was also really helpful for us to gather that feedback in order to put together a program. So as Tammy mentioned at just before public speaking, I think all of us in this meeting are fully vested into getting our kids back full-time in school. But it has to be, again, it has to be deemed safe. And I know that for many parents that are sharing their very strong, passionate opinions around coming back to school full-time, and they question the 6-foot rule. They question the fact, why can't we just do it on our own? And so on. I think it's just really important for, I think, everyone to understand, the superintendents, we meet every week with Dr. Mendoza. And although Dr. Mendoza does not tell us we can or we can't open up school, he will be a very important part of any plan that we put together. And his support will go a long way to the state DOH, which has the ultimate authority. Right now, the state DOH, they're pretty much adamant on that 6-foot piece. Onondaga County, I know, has changed to 3 feet plus a barrier, and every child will receive a barrier. Dr. Mendoza is very clear that those barriers, there's no science behind those barriers whatsoever, especially in a long-term solution for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And so I think all of us in Monroe County are really looking to have that 6-foot rule amended. And, but I think we're confident that it may very well be, because our daily infection rate is definitely coming down. So at the end of January, like the January 20s, if everyone remembers, we were just coming down, just beginning to come down from the third surge, from the holiday surge. And we were at 350, 400 cases per day. So that was the end of January. At that point, at the end of January, coming back to school in the spring certainly wasn't on my radar, because what we were really talking about was, are we going to be able to come back in September full time? Because the numbers were just outrageous at that time. Well, the great thing is, as the supply of vaccine has increased and the access has increased and the number of people receiving their vaccines has increased, our infection rate, not only in our county, but actually across the nation, has come down. And right now we are at 116 per day. So we were at 350 or so, and now we're half that. So that's all great news. So vaccine goes up, infection rates come down. We are still in the red zone, according to the CDC. Anything over 100 infections per day is considered the red zone, and it's not recommended that you come back to full-time school. The next zone is orange, and that's like between 50 and 99 infections per day. Full-time school is still not recommended unless you can stay 6 feet apart. Okay, so the 6-foot rule is not amended in either orange or red. It's when we get below 50 cases per day. That's a yellow zone. CDC says you can begin to relax 6 feet if you must, and that will open up the door to full-time school. Now, the wonderful thing is, you know what? We may actually hit that. It may happen, right around probably the week after April break or Easter break. So, Dr. Mendoza has recommended or has been talking to all the superintendents and has said, listen, things look so different than they did at the end of January. And so we have been, over the last couple of weeks, we've been beginning our planning for that, for a possible move, not a definite, but a possible move to full-time school. So I know a lot of people, according to their comments, were wondering, well, because we had said it's going to take us 5 to 7 weeks and to make that pivot to full-time if we can. And I should have been more clear on that. It's 5 to 7 weeks from the time that we develop that survey. So our goal is, with most other districts in the county, if we're able to come back full-time, it'll be right around the beginning of the fourth quarter. And for us, right around maybe April 26th, that's a Monday. Again, if the 6-foot rule is amended, and if we get, and that can only be done by state DOH. So these are all good. This is all good news, at least in my mind, because from the very beginning, we have said as a board, and certainly I have said, we will always follow CDC, New York State Department of Health, Dr. Mendoza. We'll follow the data and we'll follow the numbers, and we'll try to open up as soon as we get that clearance from the 6-foot rule. And it was also really important that the faculty and staff had full access to the vaccine. And I think we're just about at that full access. It doesn't mean that everyone will be vaccinated, but at least people who want a shot, who want an appointment, can get one. Our supply has really improved over the last 3 weeks. So all of the steps are there. I mean, everything is there as long as the infection rates continue to come down. We're at 116. I don't know what today's numbers are, what the 7-day rolling average is, but I would imagine we'll continue to come down by a few each day and hopefully be in the yellow zone below 50 in a few weeks. So I know I've been rambling a lot, but the next big thing, and I'll try to write this into our Friday, into the Friday message. The next big thing will be a survey to parents, another survey. And we'll be asking parents to really make a binding choice, a final choice. We'll try to describe what a full-time day will look like. And we'll try to describe what the remote will look like, because we will still offer remote. It may look a little bit different. So, for example, elementary remote may actually increase to 4 hours per day to try to match the full day instruction that in-person students are getting. But we're still working that out. But this second survey that will hopefully come out next week, midweek, later next week, we'll be asking parents if we go to full time, and the elementary day will most likely be like 5 hours, 5 1/4. And we'll tell you why, but so at least our full day for the rest of the year. So we're going to ask parents, if we go back to full-time learning, how many of you will opt into that? How many of you will stay remote or opt into remote? Because we have to have those numbers in order for us to staff and schedule. Then we'll also ask a second question to the parents, which is, how many of you will continue to drive your child to school every day? Which ways, either to school, from school, or both? And how many of you will opt to take the bus? We need these numbers. They have to be hard numbers because we have to basically redo all of our busing. And all of these things take time. So we need to get the data as soon as we can, and then try, certainly through break, and probably a week after break or so, probably 2 weeks after break, be able to put together a bus system, a staffing system, and a scheduling piece. And again, we'll try to I want to make sure that I'm clear that the survey's going out. we will be really clear that this is if we get to full-time school and full-time school late April. Because I don't want, if the numbers don't come down and we don't get rid of the 6-foot rule, the 6-foot rule doesn't go away, we will not open full-time. And so I just want to make sure that I'm as clear as I can be with that, because I think that's the whole key. That's why all of the bigger districts are out. When people say, well, why can this district, why can this private school, why can they be open all day long? Why can they be full-time? It's just a fact. It's just a matter of size. When you're looking at a private school with 50 kids per grade level, that's very different than our district with 700 kids per grade level. So it is, and smaller districts that are 1/10 of our size, it's just easier. They have the space to do that. So we are the 20th largest, or somewhere around the 20th largest district in New York State. So because of that size, there are great things about having a district this size, such as all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of classes, and so on. But one of the downsides, I guess, of having a district this size is, we don't have the space sometimes to do this full-time in person, even with a 6-foot rule in place. I think that ends my report. I will, answer any questions that the board may have. Again, I'll try to tie all this up into a Friday thoughts and a Friday message for our families.
Thank you, Carm. That certainly is absolutely what everybody's interested in knowing. And we appreciate the communication that's happened since the onset, which I guess today is actually the anniversary, right? That it was declared a pandemic.
Yes, it was declared a pandemic, I'm pretty sure, on the 11th, and our last day of school was on Friday the 13th.
And the 13th.
So we are coming up to a year. And so I understand, I understand the frustration that many of our speakers have had, our parents who have spoken to the board. I get it. I understand, and I wish there was a way we didn't have to have a pandemic. I also get emails I get emails every day from parents on both sides, 180 degrees apart. Some that say, I demand to be back in school full time, and others that say, don't even think about coming back to school full time because we're not vaccinated and it's still not safe for our kids to have all 8,400 kids in school. So that's the part that we're trying to balance as best we can. So, and I get emails from people that say the pandemic isn't real, that it's an alleged hoax, that we don't need to have masks. Those are harder for me to really respond to because they're just devoid of any kind of reality in science. So, but it's their opinion, and but it does. It's really hard for us to operate if we're not anchored in that science piece. So.
No, I would definitely appreciate this because there is a lot of misinformation and rumor and opinion, and we certainly can't operate that way. So does anybody have any questions for Carm or anything you want to expand on? I think we all feel very much the same. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to Monroe County School Board Association Legislative Committee, Sue and Maria.
Maria, you want me to go or do you want to go? I'll go. So we had a meeting on March 3rd. It was a Zoom meeting, but our next meeting will be in person. We talked about the new U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. We also talked about Ruth Turner, who's replacing our Regent Andrew Brown as our local representative. There have been several meetings with our representatives, our local representatives, and some of them very new. And it was nice to see the energy and the fact that they are prioritizing education, that it's very important to them. There was a suggestion that it's very valuable to invite our state representatives to our district. Let's see. Oh, they had their Nisbecka Capital Conference. About 400 people attended remotely. There's been individual meetings with Senator Ort, Senator Helming, which Tammy and I were able to attend, and Assemblyman Hawley and Bronson. Everyone pretty much agrees that they don't want federal dollars to supplant foundation aid. They don't want our expense-based aids to be combined. They want full reimbursement of STAR. They want full reimbursement of transportation costs. And they want to check our governor's executive powers. Did talk about reopening schools, and they recognize, that it's a dilemma. One thing that Senator Helming asked was if we had 3 top mandate relief suggestions, what would they be? So maybe we could talk to Brian and Carm and come up with something. We've been hesitant to do anything because there's so many mandates, but maybe we should just tackle 3, see if it goes somewhere, and move on from there. Let's see what else I have. I think did you have anything else, Tammy, to add about Senator Helming?
No, not specifically, but it was, we were a small group, so it was a very engaging conversation. She listens, she understands what the issues are, and she knows how to take it forward. What I did find were a couple links, and I think we want to share these out to engage the public, because their advocacy of these issues is equally important. So I think we should look to share that out through PTSAs.
Okay, great.
Maybe put it on our webpage, but there were 2 separate letters around COVID relief and legislative action. So, okay.
Maria, do you have anything to add?
No, you did a great job. Thank you, Sue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, moving on to labor relations. Linda and Suf.
You want me or you to talk, Linda? Okay. Well, we heard from Linda Vankowski, who's from the Monroe 2 BOCES. She presented on negotiations in the COVID-19, and she broke her presentation into 2 segments. The first one was a brief overview of the recent settlements, and then she talked about the anticipated issues in the upcoming negotiations. She noted that the average settlement has been about 3.13, but regionally, there have been a number of 1 or 2 year rollovers, and that's due to the uncertainty around school reopening and the funding moving forward. And then she addressed a number of issues that could potentially appear in upcoming negotiations. They obviously were layoffs and salary benefits, retirement incentives, and also summer school semester. So that's what she talked about.
Thank you,
David,
Mike.
Want to add anything, David? No? Okay.
Thank you, Mike. Moving on to information exchange. So Mike and I, there's been 2 excellent presentations. I don't know, Mike, if you want to talk about it, I'll jump in. And
I missed the last 2, unfortunately, and I think we talked about the other one the last time. So
the English language learners. Yeah, there were 2 presentations, and Brian Neenan, I want to share this with you because it's about the college application process and how things might look different for seniors, given that ACT, SATs, that all those indicators have got, the primary indicators are not valid anymore. And they talked about how it's changed the process and actually said, similar to the conversation I had with you, where it was more around developing essential skills and habits that the kids were talking about in their application letters. So they asked them to think broadly about their experience during COVID. Maybe they've been instructional in caring for an older family member or helping younger siblings with their homework, but there were pros and cons. Some of the pros were increased communication because people were more accessible. Parents didn't have to leave work for meetings and could participate. They thought they were surprised that kids were as resourceful as they were and how they were differentiating themselves in the process. So it's not all about the GPA, and it allowed for some more creativity. And then just yesterday was the Code of Conduct in Virtual Environments, which is, of course, extremely relevant. And they just gave some suggestions about in developing a code or what you would want to incorporate, clear expectations for kids to have learning spaces that are free from distractions, if at all possible. You know, everybody has different situations. Talking about appropriate data use, and that ties back to digital citizenship that we mentioned earlier. There's a focus and awareness on bullying and appropriate technology use. And academic integrity. So they're both, especially, to have such engaging topics now that people were really relevant and resonated with the audience. So they always do a great job. And executive committee, Carm, I know it's all about school reopening. I don't know if there just aren't too many other conversations, especially that occupy board presidents and superintendents. So it is helpful for everybody to be able to talk with one another and share experiences and understand the commonality of what we're doing. And so I do appreciate, as I know we all do, that the communication that's gone on since the very beginning with you and all the superintendents and relying on data and science, because I think that's just going to bring us to the right place when that happens. So moving on to our own standing district committees, the audit committee, I think we might be all set. Do you have anything you want to share?
There's nothing new since earlier this year. Brian's doing a great job.
Excellent. And the policy committee. Oh, always something.
Actually, we're always working. We have a small subcommittee where of our policy committee, and we're looking at labeling our policies as required, those that are laws, those that limit our liabilities, and such like that. So Larry Wall is kind enough to work on that with me. And our next meeting is April 22nd, which may be in person then, if our regular meeting is going to be in person.
Before our meeting. Yep. Excellent. And the budget advisory committee, of course, we're not rotating. We're just all participating. That will be next Thursday. Brian, did you want to talk about anything in advance of that? I think we're all set. Okay.
No, just, they're with a lot coming signed by the feds today of maybe perhaps taking a little bit more time to see how the state's going to shake out some of that federal aid, where it's going to go, how are we going to report it, perhaps maybe extend our process just a little bit, give some time to kind of just work through some of those things.
Thank you. And strategic planning committee, that is Sue and Mike and I, and certainly there's so many conversations around this because similar to the college process, the main indicators that we use are not valid this year, the school rankings and that sort of thing. So we are anticipating another meeting to be set up very soon and looking forward to that. Do either of you have anything more? Right, we're due for another meeting.
Right.
Correct.
And when? Linda, do you want to share?
Sure. We met yesterday for our monthly meeting, and the group is continuing to work on the one-year action plan. It's a little bit tricky because a lot of the programming hasn't been able to take place this year due to COVID, but some good things are still happening. We are currently working on vaping handouts, which will be readily available to give out to any school sports coaches and also to families. They just completed the community survey and 275 people responded. And that really, the survey was just really to drive what people are looking for, how when can help the community and help educate the community on vaping. What else? There was this in February, they had a social media campaign, which was called 12 Things Parents Can Do. And it was every couple of days, there was a new social media post about things that parents can do, things like listening to your teen, how to be a better listener, how to ask the right questions to see what they're into, if there's things that are troubling them. And with those social media posts, they actually almost doubled their hits to the website. So people are definitely starting to take notice of when and get it out there. So that is good news. And they're also trying to look at ways to engage retailers in the community and to partner. So there'll be more information on that probably in the coming months. And the next meeting will be the end of April 22nd, I think. So that's it.
Great, thank you. And then I'll just add a brief report for fire. There is a steering committee planning meeting at 7:30, so I will be free. I'll be able to make that. And one of the exciting developments, Monroe One BOCES hired Tasha Porter, and she's working with all the component districts on equity and diversity. And she just has already brought a whole lot of knowledge to what we're doing and shared, especially as we look at policy and strategic planning, how that dovetails. So we'll probably invite Sue to a meeting, and we'll probably invite Terry McCarthy and Lucy Camphy as well, so that the expertise can cross over as we look to ways to better keep the work of fire moving forward. In WTA, in Joan Bardanis's report, she highlighted a lot of activities and different books that were being worked on across all the districts. I'm sorry, across all the schools in the district about Black History Month. So there's a lot of good information there in her report to share. And Janice, did you want to add anything about fire?
No, I think you covered it for the most part. I know Fire also talked about maybe presenting at the next few live board meetings, just to get some information out, education, whatnot. So hopefully we can look forward to that too.
Yeah, great. Yes. Okay, so next is the consent agenda. We have our minutes, personnel actions, recommendations on the Committee for Special Education, recommendations on the Committee for Preschool Special Education meetings, and resolutions around the vote. Can we have a motion to accept the consent agenda, please?
I'll make that motion.
Sue, second by Saf. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that concludes our meeting. Our next is the second budget workshop on March 18th. And thank you to everyone watching, and we hope everybody stays safe and healthy. Can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Mike?
In a second.
Second by Linda. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, everyone.